This daf here Yerushalmi Eruvin. The article owes by the Hashem with daf Ches Amud Aleph, and we are 3, 6, 8 lines down. Last word in the line is dura, and the first letter of the next line is chinana. And for the first time in Eruvin, we have fallen behind in the Vilna. We're on Zainam Abayz in the Vilna. Last two words is Zainam Abayz, but we have now finally a discrepancy between the two versions. Okay, so this is the alternate version of what happened with Rav yesterday. What Rav came yesterday, we said Rav found it came the weak Korah, and he knocked it down and said, yes, you have a decal, but this Shabbos, you can align the decal next Shabbos, unless you make some sort of a fix, I guess, before Shabbos, and because this Korah is no good. So now we have a different version of this. Rabbi Chanina lo markein. Now Rabbi Chanina didn't learn this way, but rather El Rab also Charasar. Rav came to a certain place. Chama ma'mova yisor ma'mova shenito koraso. Its Korah is gone. And evidently they were relying on Korah, and so it wasn't a weak Korah, which he knocked down. There was no Korah. It was taken away. Varmali said, it forbade him from carrying there. And evidently it was on Shabbos itself. Before he knocked it down, didn't knock it down on Shabbos, I assume. Here on Shabbos itself, he saw that there was no Korah. So he said they can't carry. But Dikla claimed there's that decal there, which could serve as a lechi. Rav said, Ain't the Rav Chuna Gaba, ain't the Rav Lacy no Gaba? Your eyes are working, my eyes aren't working. Your eyes saw it, my eyes didn't see it. I'm asking them because they were supposed to have a Korah, they didn't have the Korah. Shabbos Habani, Matlem Mishum Lechi. Next Shabbos, I'll let them use the Korah, the decal as a Lechi. They should know, Shimiota decal, she also Taltel. They should know if the decal is removed. They're not allowed to carry. Now, Easter boy Maymar, some say Lo Yavun Savrik Rabbi. They shouldn't think like Rabbi. Now that made sense yesterday when we talked about a Korah, which is a Korah Ru'ah, right? A weak Korah. So still, you might say that like Rabbi says Rowan. So you can say Rowan, and Rav said no, we don't say Rowan, and therefore he knocked the Korah down. Don't think you can say like Rabbi Yehuda. So again, Ashar says in this Ein Lo Bir. He says it's difficult to understand what's going on here. But he says it's difficult. Near the came in Nofok or also Shabbos. So he says that the Korah fell on Shabbos, and with time loss of Shabbos, they'd be remitted to that for that Shabbos Rabbi Yehuda. Hutra. Once the Shabbos is mutter, beginning even the Korah fell in the middle, it'll be mutter. Rav the Asar, Rav the Asar Mishum the loyv in Sabbath Rabbi mutter mishum Korah abshenita. He said no, nothing doing. V'aslu mishum Rav Sabbath Rabbi Yossi, etc., etc. So therefore, it means here they shouldn't assume that since it was mutter for the beginning of Shabbos, it's mutter for the rest of Shabbos. Once the Korah falls, you can't carry anymore. Once the mechitza falls, even on Shabbos, there's no hetzah to carry. It's a famous issue of mechitza falls and Erev breaks in the middle of Shabbos. So you tell people about it. So Reb Chaim Brisker said not to tell people about it, and many posts can rely on this because they'll be misasik because they think that there's an Eruv, so therefore they're kind of the basis of their premise that there is an Eruv that's mutter to carry. So if you don't tell them, because you may not be able to tell everybody, we won't get around. But if you know about it, you know there's no Eruv, then you're not allowed to carry if it falls in the middle of Shabbos. Okay, next one, the thing that is not going on our Mishnah over here. It's because this in our Mishnah with Karpov. It's really going on Mishnah Yun Zayin and Bay. Well, depends which version of the Gemara you have. It's going on the Mishnah on in Perek Beis Halacha Hey, which is either on Zayin or Yud Zayin, depending on which version you have. But in any event. And that's Rabbi ben Bava. And there it says Rabbi ben Bava, Hagina v'karpav, shu shivim am v'shraim, or shivim am v'shraim. Hagina or karpav, an enclosure, which is either a garden or a yard, which is 5,000 square amos. Mukef is gorgava, so b'tvachim metal mitoicha. This is the halach of karpav, where something has to be mukaf ladira, if it's more than 5,000 square amos or more. So that's the mukaf ladira, you can carry within it. Uvad shebo shomer beis dira, sheiteis muchalir. Has to have either a watchman's hut or some place, a dwelling place, or that's adjacent to the city, and therefore people use it It's as for storage or whatever on as part and parcel of their normal daily living. So Gemara asks the question from that on that karpaf, right later on from the karpaf Maseches Beitza. The karpaf Maseches Beitza has to do with is a toitim type of karpaf. It's like Yerushalmi hyperlink, right? Even the word is the same, it's only a different concept, right? The karpaf there's question is when can you use wood on Yontif for your fire? It's not considered muktzah because you set it out of sight, out of mind from before Yontif began. And it says there, the Tinaton is the karpa koshu samach la'ir, divi Rabbi Yehuda. Anything which is adjacent to the city is a karpa which you can use because wood you can use because it's part and parcel of the city of your normal usage. Therefore, you never maktadaitom from it. You never repudiated it. Then that's v'achol marachein. Yet here it says even if it's not samach la'ir, if it has a base dira or shemera. It's not. One's right here, one's right here. Bubba, but I guess one assumes it's the same one. So the perhaps it's a different gear there somewhere. But in any event, so it seems that smuch le'ir is not the sole criterion, which makes it okay. There it's smuch le'ir. Here it says shomer beis diro. Why do we have more possibilities of permitting over here? So v'achol marachein. Rabbi Meir I said beis diro avlo Rabbi Yehuda. It says no. By us, it's a different vote. The idea here is that anything that makes it a base dira, no matter where it is, anything which makes it suitable a dira, suitable dira can include a shamer, can include any other type base dira, even if it's not smuch le'ir. Okay, that's the pashut shot in the Gemara that's about again that Mishnah later on versus the halacha and beitza. Karmeir tries to link it to the Korah Suga over here, but it's very difficult to make that link. Okay. Now on to the next Mishnah. Halacha. If you are, we mentioned this already yesterday. If you have your Korah is made out of straw or out of sticks, reeds, you see it as if it's made out of metal. In other words, even if it's not bria, it's as if it's bria. Akuma, if it's crooked, look at it as if it's straight. We'll see what this means in the Gemara. Gula, if it's round, round to see if it's square. So let's say about if you have a round korah, right? It's a circle, a round korah. So and we're telling you that's the principle of pi in halacha, which is 1 to 3. So therefore, if it has a circumference of 3, it has a diameter of 1, and therefore it's okay. Okay, so says Gemara, according to whom are you going? Rabbi Yehuda. It's going to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, if it's wide enough, even if it's not strong enough, it's still considered to be okay, and that's why our Mishnah says, okay, now Rabbi Yaakov if it's crooked, we see it as if it is straight. Rabbi Acham Shem Zira, Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Acham it's going like Rabbi Yehuda who says rowing. Right? So even if it's crooked, we see it as if it's straight. It says, the Reb Chaim takes out the Shem Rabbi Yesa. So it's just Rabbi Yesa, the Shem Rabbi Zira. Seems I have a mistake. Tibra Koli. No, everybody can agree here. Why? Bushetak mimus min hatzad. You're talking about a case where the bend is on the side. And we have a picture of Reb Chaim. So there are two possibilities. One possibility is like this, akuma on top, right? Bends up, and the other is akuma on the side, like that. Okay, so what's the difference? So as Reb Chaim explains, if it's going up, so then it can't hold arichim. It's not going to hold, it's not flat, they're going to fall off. So therefore, since that's the case, it only is okay for Rabbi Yehuda who says rowing. So we look at it, even though it's bent, we look at it as if it's straight. But according to, but if it goes out, soon it meets the proper parameters, which is the same moment. So then it can be makabel arichim. It's flat. It's just the akmumis is horizontal, not vertical. So therefore, that's not a problem. So, but Gemara qualifies. Shein makeves is a mavui. It's not akmumis which impedes the halachic validity of the mavi. Akmumis which crookedness which impede the halachic validity of the mavi. Shemakevas mavi harei asura. Okay, so now what is it? Ve'ez akmumis, and the Reb Chaim changes the order here. Ve'ez akmumis she'ena, not shehi, but she'ena. It's based on the Rashba, evidently. She'ena makeves es hamavui kol sheyogud ve'ein bein zu lezu shlosha tvachim. So this is akmumis which is going out of the mavui. So it has to be the akmumis is the type that if you cut off the akmumis, there's not going to be 3 tvachim between the 2 remaining sections, which are opposite each other. So you cut out the akmumis, and you still have 3 tvachim, one of 3 tvachim, and the other article picture is perhaps more helpful. If you cut out that section which goes out of the mavi, and there isn't 3 tvachim between these 2 parts, so then that's okay. That akmumis is not a problem. Okay, so everybody holds that akmumis is not a problem. The only problem is when it's going, like we said before, vertical akmumis. I'm pointing this picture. This picture is horizontal, so pointing picture is not good. But it's not where it's horizontal. There would be less than 3 tvachim gap if you were to cut off that part. So then, of course, that's not a problem. Okay, let's go on. Next part of the Mishnah. Agula roina sakim murubas. If it's round, we see it as if it's square. Od hid Rabbi Yehuda, and this is going like the Rabbi Yehuda. It seems to go like Rabbi Yehuda says rowing, right? That even though it's circular, we see it as if it's straight. So it's not going to work on Rabbanan, even though the diameter is going to be a tefach. Doesn't help because it's not going to be able to be makabel ariach. So of course, now we get to separate question. How do we know pi in halacha is 3, not 3.14? So minayam lomdu. We learn it from the psukim by the yam shas shleima, which took the place of the Kior when Shlomo built the Beis Hamikdash. It says, Vayaseh mutzak eser amah. So the exact lashon of the pasuk was Vayaseh ayam mutzak eser amah. It was poured to be 10 amos misfaso atzfaso from rim to rim. A gosavi, but it was round. It wasn't square. The chamesh b'makom, so it's 5 amos height. The kav shloshim b'amah so b'sosaviv, and a line of 30 amos would envelop its circumference. So it's 10 amos across from rim to rim, diameter, and the circumference was said to be 30. It's not 30; it's 31.4. Pi is 3.14. But we see that we can rely on the on 3.3 as being the pi in halacha. Famous grah about this, which the article brings down here, so it's worth noting it. It says the kav b'shloshim b'ama, a line of amos will surround it, but this is between the kri and ksiv. The ksiv is kavah, kuv vav hey, and the kri is kav, kuv vav. So he says that kavah in gematria, of course, is 111, right? And kav in gematria is 106. So he says, the Gra says, if you multiply 3 by, well, actually, before we get there, it says 111 is 1.04717 greater than 106. So if you multiply 3 by 1.04717, which is the ratio by which 111 is greater than 106, so then you get 3.1415, which is very close to the actual value of pi. So therefore, you see the actual value of pi is alluded to in the pasuk because the kav kava kriya ksiv, and the pasuk is still telling us, even though it's that 3.1415, nevertheless for Perez halacha we look at 3. I look at part of you don't need that precise, and therefore we go after 3, the portion 3 to 1. Anyway, after that discussion, which probably should have come after I read the Gemara inside, let's read the Gemara inside. Minayam lamdu v'yasas yom mutzar esabam mogomer efshamar agol. Okay, say it was round. Nemamruba, it says it was square, right? So article points out it doesn't actually say anywhere it's square, but the next pasuk says that pekoyim some sort of pillars. Hayu that were under the yam mitachto l'tachto saviv. So be'eser ama makifin eser yam saviv. So it sounds like since there are 10 amos on each side, so it sounds like they were square. So these pillars were on each side, 10 amos. So it seems to say that it was squared off on the bottom. At least the pillars were squared, right? So Efshar Ogos, Efshar Mar Ogo, it's like Efshar, right? Efshar here spelled here with a yud, so it's as if it says Efshar. So Efshar Lomar Ogos Kwan Mar Ruba, Efshar Lomar Ruba Kwan Mar Ogo. Ain in Tamar, if you're going to say the Moshe says in Tamar Meruba, right? If you're going to say it's Meruba, Nimtza Omer, then you come out saying that Kuf Sam Kuf. I can't read what it says in the film now. Kuf Samech. Is this Kuf Samech? What's it say in the article? Yeah, Me'ev Shishim. Right, Kuf Samech. Yadas Taro Machzik. So actually, it's supposed to say 166 and 2/3, and the article actually adds that into the text. The Bnei Moshe says the in Tamar. In Tamar. Where does he start here? Yeah, there's Chain Tzarkamar in Tamar, but Nimtza Omer Me'ev Shishim Chui. In Tamar a goal. Okay, going on to the next line. We're going to say it's a goal. Going to the Bnei Moshe's change. Nimtzei Somer comes out to be Kuf Chaf, but here it's supposed to be Kuf Chaf Hey. It's going to be 125 Yados Taraya Machzik. So let's see the Bnei Moshe inside in this. I just put his tikkunim into the Gemara, but let's see it inside. He says. Again, Inte Meruba, Nimte Samar Me'ev Shishim Chuli, Inte Me'ago Me'esrim B'Shtelos Tara, Shkach, no, actually, 125. Yeah, I guess it changes later on. But it should be 125 Yodas Tara. So he says, Shkena Chesed Shemokam Ruba. If it was the Yama square, it'd be Esar Barum Chamesh Amos. It'd be 10 by 10 by 5, right? Should Chalek Osol Ritzul Shal Esar divide into strips of 10. Timso B'chol Ritzul Esar Amos Orech Baruch Ab Amma. You know what? I'm not sure I want to do this whole math. I changed my mind. Just do 5. If a mikveh is the Shiva mikveh is 3 amos by 1 amma by 1 amma. 3 cubic amos, sorry. So if it's 500, cubic amos, because it's 5 by 10 by 10, you divide it by 3, you get 166 and 2/3 mikvos inside the Yam Shalosh Shlema. If you're going to say that it was round, so then you have it's less, because then you have this diameter of 10, right? So you have diameter 10, again going with the cheshbon that they're making here. So then it would be we know from the Bavli here in Masechah Sukkah that when a square is an area is a quarter more than a circle. So therefore, you have to take off a quarter, and then the entire quarter is going to be throughout the height of that of the Yam Shalosh Shlema. So then you would have 120 instead of having a surface area of 100. So be if it's square, you'd have a surface area of 75, right? So a quarter less than 100. And that 75 would be throughout the 5 amos of height. So 5 plus 75 is 375. So 75 divided by 3 equals 125. So 125. So therefore, you'd have 125 mikvos. So if it's square, you have 166 and 2/3 mikvos. If it is circular, you have 125 mikvos inside the Am Shos Shlema. Both these numbers leave the Gemara unsatisfied because a couple of seconds later, it says, "Of your tefach sfasar k'mases vas kos perach shushan alpayim bas yochil." He holds 2,000 bas. Now bas is 3 saw. So the 3 saw is, so therefore it's 6,000 se'im. It's 6,000 se'im. We know in mikvah they're 40 saw. 6,000 divided by 40 is 150. So if it's completely square, it's too much. At 166 and 2/3 mikvos. If it's completely circular, it's too little. It only has 125 mikvos. How do we get to 150 mikvos? So the Gemara says, and more me'ata, you have to say the shtei amos el yonos agulos ayu. The top 2 amos were round. So therefore you had 75 times 2, which is 150, right? Square cubic amos in the 75 surface by 2 depth. And the shalosh amos tachton nos murubos ayu. And then the bottom 3 amos of the 5 were in fact square. So that, and they had, therefore, in the area that you had 3 by 100, that's 300. So you had, that is, again, the top you had 150 cubic amos, and the bottom you had in the circular area, and because it's 75 by 2, and the bottom you had 300 square cubic amos, because it was 100 by 100 square amos by 3. So that's altogether 300 plus 150, right? That is 450 cubic amos. Divide that by 3, and you get your 150 mikvos. So it's too bad there isn't a picture in the article, but that would be how you get the 150, is by having the mikvah the yam partially round, the top 2 amos, and partially square, the bottom 3 amos. Again, and more me'atah shtei amos al yos agulasiu, shalosh amos tachtonos mubasiu, needs to omer 150 yodos tari machsi, the 150 mikvos. Okay, we have another problem with the shear of the yam. Because of Echad Omer, the Paskin Malachim says a pine bas yachil, the yam held 2,000 bas, which is explained as 6,000 se'im, right? So but in Divrei Yomim it says because of Echad Omer Maxi batim shlosh alafim yachil, it holds 3,000 batim. Efshon Alpayim. Again, if Shalom Arapayim, Shkwanem Ashlosh Alfim. If Shalom Arapayim, Shkwanem Arapayim. Basically, it's a contradiction. So, how do we resolve the contradiction? I read it right? Let me read it again. Kos v'echol Arapayim, Basachil, Kos v'echol Maxi Batim Shlosh Alfim. Maxi Batim Shlosh Alfim Yachil. If Shalom Arapayim, Shkwanem Ashlosh Alfim. If Shalom Arapayim, Shkwanem Arapayim. Past. Omer, so you have to say like this: a pine belach shem shloshah lafim biyovish. It's 2,000 wet measures, 2,000 wet batim. But if it had been a dry measure, because you can heap dry measures over the top and it go up to a third, that the over the top, because you can heap a proportion of a third to whatever's inside the vessel. So since the shlosh alpayim belach shem shlosh lavim biyofesh. Kan Chacham learn if arboim saw belach 40 saw in a wet measure, which is all a container can hold. In a dry measure, shem kurayim biyofesh are 2 kur, which is 60 saw, because you can heap it up over the top. And again, it'd be nice to have a picture here, but I think we understand without a picture. Okay, says Allah above l'chayim. Amru Govan Asar Tvachim, they have to be a lechi till night of Korah. A lechi is height is 10 tvachim. Rachvan ve'avyan, its width and its thickness. Koshain, it is a koshu. Well, it doesn't have any specific thickness and width. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rachvan Ashlosh Tvachim, no, they have to be 3 tvachim wide. So the says Gemara Masnisin Omer. that Masisim Shurim min HaKoisel. Our mission is talking about where the L'chayim are distant from the Koisel. I mean, with Smuchin the Koisel, if they're adjacent to the Koisel, Av Rabbi Yossi Moide. Even Rabbi Yossi is Moide, that's good enough. The Tani Kane, we went like this. Also L'chayim L'mav Mei Lechim Mavo In Gvoim and Oretz Pachas Mishleisha. If they're less than 3 tefachim high from the ground, or they are within 3 tefachim of the wall, mutter, that's permissible. Now this Gemara is much more difficult than it seems. As Reb Chaim points out here, it says, according to the way that comes out is that which Rabbi Yossi requires the lechi should be 3 tefachim wide, is when the lechi is distant from the wall and not adjacent to it. And that according to, in this case, according to the Rabbanan, you need Oymer Rubel Parutz in order to count these L'chaim as part of the Mavli. Like we're going to see in a Brisa shortly. Well, not today, tomorrow. Otherwise, we'd say Aseh B'yod Hagisam Mavatale to the Lechi. So according to this, Rabbi Yossi coming to be Mekel, and he holds that if the Lechi is 3 Tvachim, taking 3 Tvachim, so that's good enough. And you don't say Asya Avir Hagis Amatle. We don't say that even Lech is distant from the Movi, that it is going to be a problem. So comes out Rabbi Yossi is being Mekel. But if they and Rabbi Yossi also, if it's adjacent to the wall, then Lechi Koshu is good enough. So in that case, Rabbi Yossi is going to be Mekel. It says within everything which is within 3 tefachim kaisel, which is part of the kaisel medin lavud, don't need 3. Only if it's distant 3 tefachim from the wall, then you need then Rabbanan will be machmir and say no good. You need oymer parts to make it part and parcel of the movie. And Rabbi Yossi said, as long as 3 tefachim wide, it's not a problem. But the problem is at the beginning of Halacha Bey, it sounds like Rabbi Yossi is machmir, and that's the simple meaning of the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi is more machmir, and going to deal with this problem, Rabbi Chaim says perhaps Rabbi Yossi holds that no matter how much of a gap there is from the wall of the Mavli to the Lech, you need to have, according to Rabbi Yossi, you need to have 3 Tvachim. Well, it's more, according to Rabbanan, only if it's there's a gap is Paritz Mubel Oimei, then you need 3 Tvachim. According to Rabbi Yossi, even the gap is Oymen Rula parts, you're still going to need 3 Tvachim, and that's the way he's more machmir than Rabbanan. So this price, it says, V'tani Kain, Asal Chaim Amavi, and Gvoim Naretz Pachas Mishlesha, Oshu Smuch L'Chetz Pachas Mishlesha Mutter, is going to Rabbanan saying, if as long as it's in 3 Tvachim of the Mavli, it's Mutter, even if it's a Mashu. But it's going to Rabbi Yossi, who's more machmir, the way Rabbi Chaim is trying to explain it, he is going to require, the moment it's even somewhat distance, even within Lavud, somewhat distant from the wall of Mavi, it's going to have to be 3 Tvachim. And that way it's more machmir. Doesn't hold Lavud to say that within Lavud, the wall of the Mavi, it's going to be okay, even if it's a Mashu. Okay, this continues tomorrow, as I said, the Sugya, but we're ready on Testament Aleph, so we'll stop here for today.